The cross products principle is probably something you've seen before, but I want to put it in our terms and then do a few examples of just solving proportions with it. So if b is not equal to 0 and d is not equal to 0, then a over b equals c over d, and AD equals BC are equivalent equations. Okay, so those two equations have the same solutions so long as so long as B and D are not equal to 0. They've got to be non-zero guys. You may have seen a teacher do this kind of thing to a proportion to make you think about those cross products, because those are the guys across from each other. But really, I mean, this is all we're doing is we're going to take a proportion and translate it into this equivalent equation to make it easier to solve. So let's just do some examples. Okay, so here I have 24 over x equals 12 over 7. So I need to take, or this equation is equivalent rather, to 24 times 7 equals 12 times x, which would be 12x. 24 times 7 is some number, okay, whatever number that is. I'll find, or could find that using my calculator. But now I'm going to just note the next thing I would do to solve this equation, whatever 24 times 7 is to divide both sides by 12. Right? That will get this x by itself. Now, either using your calculator or using the fact that 24 divided by 12 is 2, and 2 times 7 is 14, you should get here that 14 is equal to x. Okay, so I've got 14 equals x. I can peek back in my original equation. 24 divided by 14 would certainly simplify to 12 over 7. So 14 is my solution for x. Okay, if you're not sure where the 14 came from, take out your calculator, take 24 times 7, and divide that by 12, and you'll get 14. Okay, I just took one quicker step because I didn't need to multiply these guys together to divide them by 12. It's easier to divide by 12 first and then multiply what's left. Okay, but this is what I do. Right, this is how I set up my cross products. I take the 24 times the 7, gives me this. I take the 12 times the x, gives me this. And that's just a nice linear equation to solve that. Solving 24 times 7 equals 12x is not difficult. All right, next. Here I have 8 sevenths equals 56 over x. Well, to do the cross products, I would take that 8 times this x, and that would equal 7 times 56. Again, it's not necessary for me to multiply 7 times 56 to know that the next thing I want to do is divide by 8. If I divide both sides by 8, over on the left, I'll have x left, okay, just x. And this will be equal to, well, 56 divided by 8 is 7. 7 times 7 is 49. Again, I can take out my calculator, take 7 times 56 and get whatever gross number that is, divide that gross number by 8, and I'll get 49. Or I can recognize that I can reduce or cancel these guys, okay, before I would multiply. You may have looked at this equation and said, that's got to be 49, because when I take this times 7, I get 56. So if I took this times 7, I'd get 49. That's correct. And that is would be solving this proportion by inspection instead of using the cross products principle. Both are good. Remember, if you're solving by inspection, take that deep breath before you finalize your answer and check it. But either way, 49 is the right solution here. Okay, let's look at our next one. X over 6 equals 18 over 4. So, cross products. So I've got x times 4, should be 4x, and I've got 18 times 6. Again, I know that whatever 18 times 6 is, the next thing I'm going to do is divide by 4. So divide both sides by 4. And on the left, I have x. On the right, 18 divided by 2 is 9. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 9 times 3 is 27. Okay, I can reduce the 18 with the 4 and the 6 with the 4 to get 27 first, or just 27. Neat, right? Cross products, divide, gives you your answer. Okay, here I've got 3 over 24 equals x over 32. So 3 times 32 equals 24x. Divide both sides by 24. And divide by 24. Divide by 24. This time I'm going to have to actually write down 24 and 3 would be 8. 32 and 8 would be 4. So this is going to be 4 equals x. Right? Because 3 24ths is the same as 4 32nds. They're both 1/8. Neat. Now, you may have noticed here, or after you've done a few of these, all I'm really doing to figure out what x is I'm taking the two numbers diagonal from each other and I'm dividing by the number that wasn't diagonal from those, which here is that 24. Right? 3 and 32 are diagonal from each other. 24 is the other guy. 3 times 32 divided by 24 gives me my answer, which is what I get through my work as well. Okay, so that's a shortcut. If you do a ton of proportions, you'll start to see that. If you don't, it's okay. Remember, do your cross products, and then divide. Here I've got negative 3 divided by 8 equals 6 divided by x. Okay, cross products. Negative 3 times x equals 8 times 6. Divide by negative 3. And I'll get that x is 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2 times 8 is negative 16. Okay, I didn't rewrite that time because I had a different color and because we know we multiply the guys diagonal and divide by the third one. Okay, watch out for guys like this. That negative on the left applies to the entire 3/4, but it's the same thing as negative 3 divided by 4, or 3 divided by negative 4. So don't double up on your negative signs here, but notice whatever I get for x has got to be negative because this is a negative number on the right, so this needs to end up being a negative number on the left. Okay, so you can give that negative sign to either your numerator or your denominator of your fraction, and then after you've done that, you can do the normal thing. 12 times negative 3 is equal to 4 times x. Divide both sides by 4. But do it in your fancy other color, so it makes you feel cool. Makes me feel cool, which is obviously why I do it. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. So x here should be negative 9. Okay, great. One more. Here I've got x over 64 equals 9 over negative 16. Cross multiply. Negative 16x equals 64 times 9. Divide by negative 16. 64 divided by 16 is 4. So 64 divided by negative 16 is negative 4. Negative 4 times 9 is negative 36. So that should be my solution. And if I look, negative 36 64ths should reduce to, hold on, negative 36 64ths. So both divisible by at least 2 would be negative 18 32nds. Divisible by 2 is negative 9. sixteenths. Oh my gosh, it's negative 9 sixteenths, which is the same as 9 over negative 16, and negative 36 has got to be my answer.